World Series is only in your part of the world.
What a shame. It's a good
They shouldn't
series.
even call it
It's
that.
1-1 tonight. Tonight we're gonna go head to the pub, check out the Stros beat up on the Philadelphia Phillies. Oh,
That's
look
what
at
they
there.
do.
So it's already been a week, Gamble. My goodness. Digital Ramblers, how are you? Great to have you back. Thanks for tuning in. If you're on Facebook or on YouTube, or if you're listening to us on one of our 11 different podcast streaming services. But today we have a fantastic show, and we're joined again, like every week, with my good friend Chris Gamble. What's happening, Chris Gamble?
Hey, JJ. Good to see you. Good to see you. Actually, a bit of a landmark episode for us. Episode 150.
What? Oh my God!
Who would have thought we'd got there?
Woot. Shh, crowd goes wild. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that is, you know, we're continuing to do the show because we've got such a good audience who communicate with us. They participate in the comments and in the likes and the shares, and you know, the thousands of listens and watches that we've had. We really enjoy still creating content with you, for you, and we'd also like you to push our button, get us talking about the things you want to discuss in the world of smart home. And today is one of those episodes where we're tackling probably the thing that our customers and our audience talk to us about.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Today's topic is how to ... get the best Wi-Fi in your home. And it is something that is absolutely necessary in all applications, regardless of home size, small or large. Being connected in a reliable manner on all devices is crucial. So today's episode is going to be packed full of useful information.
You know, JJ, when I was in the early days of starting my business, I was looking at what my core skills were to start the business and what services I would provide. And my background was military telecommunications and military networks. Yeah. And I worked in IT departments within the military, dealt with the infrastructure needed for a big organization like the Royal Air Force. And it was that core skills I knew that I would always have to rely on, because the network is everything to homeowners. And then when I mean everything, I mean it's the one thing that can't stop functioning for homeowners, and it's a real panic moment for people when they've no Wi-Fi.
You are absolutely correct about that, and we are the first line of offense for our clients. So you ready to get into this show?
Let's go. Episode 150.
Here we go. For those that are new to the show, I'm JJ Cannon, CEO of Digital Delight, located here in Houston, Texas. Been in the industry for about 24 years. You can find out more about us at digitaldelight.com.
And I'm JJ's co-host, Chris Gamble, co-founder, owner, Customized, based in Norfolk, England, covering the east of England and the London area, specializing in lighting and home networks.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris and I, we've been putting together the Digital Ramble for over 4 years and just laying down solid information that we have learned through our experiences dealing with homeowners and manufacturers on an absolutely daily basis. And so today's topic is really close to home, because it's a request that we, have conversations about all the time. And that's, how do you get the best Wi-Fi coverage throughout our home?
Yeah, I would say throughout maybe the last 5 years of running my business, especially when I made some big changes on products and services we were going to offer, the first thing I wrote down on the list when I first started the business was looking after the home network. The first thing I wrote down on the new list, the Customized 2.0, was looking after the home network. Nothing changed there. Lots of other things changed. Lots of other things I saw as, inefficient for homeowners, brands that weren't standing the test of time. But the home network was immediately shifted from one list to the next, because it's been the constant. It is the thing that binds everything together.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about that. The network is the foundation that everything is built on. And Gamble, I was definitely not like you. I was a novice when it came to networking. And I remember the first time that a client asked me to connect their DVD player to the network so that they could watch movies on this thing called Netflix. And they wanted me to run a wire from here to there and put this funky looking connector on the end of it, so that they could somehow communicate to get something from somewhere. And a lot of our clients still have that very infant understanding of how a network works. And through education and certifications through our industry's educational course through CEDIA, man, I was definitely eye-opened to what all it takes to actually provide a good, solid, and reliable network in the home.
I think for most people, the basic understanding they have is that they choose an internet provider. And in the UK, most of that internet is provided using your telephone cable into the house. So for a long time, it was just your telephone connection. Then we started to see the introduction of cable providers. And then most of those providers now are offering a fiber optic service if your area has that option. So you'll have an incoming service, you'll choose your provider, and they'll give you, for the monthly payment that you give them, you'll get a free router, a hub, a modem that will connect onto that line, that cable, and that will broadcast your Wi-Fi network. It might have some Ethernet hardwired points on the back of it. But for me, the position of that main hub is one of the crucial, it's kind of the first steps to things going wrong, or the first step to success if you get that router or modem in the right place.
And so that's usually our first step for our clients is when they call. And so there's a variety of different clients that do have those questions of Wi-Fi. Most of them are coming, oh man, when I think about it, Gamble, clients are moving into homes and they're getting a new internet for a new home, and clients are in an existing home and they've just always had challenges with it. So, it's kind of, I really don't have one to pinpoint, but there are a variety of different speeds that you can get for a variety of different homes, sizes. And when I mean sizes, I'm not necessarily talking about square footage. I'm talking about the size of, or maybe the amount of people that are going to be using data at one time. Honestly, for us, for a probably a good offering or a good buy-in, anything at 200 would be a very affordable, easy dive in here in the States. Gamble, I'm sure it's different over there. As far as for buy-in and speeds, I'm not sure exactly what y'all are doing, but 200 is usually a basic buy-in for our clients.
When you talk about 200, you're talking 200
megabits, the speeds.
Megabits per second.
Yeah.
Well, I know up until recently, when I've researched it, the average UK broadband speed, internet speed, was about 55 megabits per second. Now, I know some customers up until recently, they would absolutely love that kind of speeds, and they're getting nowhere close to that. And this is where we've had to seek out alternative internet provision, which we rely then on 4G, cellular, 5G internet connections, which is a good alternative, albeit with some data restrictions. But I always recommend you choose the fastest speed you can get. I'm not a believer in holding back. I think you get the speeds, you're going to use them. I think it encourages you to unlock new services, new features, new ways of entertaining, securing, controlling your home. So go with that fast internet. And then after you've had that fast internet connection, that is really where businesses like that has come into it, JJ, because it's us that helps it reach all the corners of the home.
No. usually the providers that we're seeing, they are, uh, they're saddled with getting the service into your home, and whatever it does, that's about all that they provide. They also sell secondary devices that you can plug into the wall and add them through the provider's app. And I have not seen too many clients have success with those extenders. And even with seasoned people like myself, I still have not been able to see success with that either. We are a hardwired first option, and then wireless repeaters as an alternative and last option, if at all possible. Because first option is use the infrastructure that's already built into the home, use the pre-existing Cat 5, Cat 6, whatever you might have, and then build off of that. And then if you can and must get extended network, then we'll run a wire to those said locations. And then if that's not a options, then we'll go as a wireless option if at all necessary.
Yeah, and again, my business as well, we're very much about running those wires. We know though that there's restrictions on running wires in every home, especially the older properties we have here in the UK. We can't go running cables if it's a retrofit installation. We're relying on wireless meshing and wireless repeaters of the signal. But what I always look at in contrast is, even with very, very good Wi-Fi equipment installed and a system to distribute that Wi-Fi, I see a much more balanced and happy home when you've got infrastructure, you've got a good Wi-Fi system, you've got the products that don't move hardwired to the network: smart televisions, set-top boxes, cable boxes, Xboxes, PCs, even printers, cameras, doorbells. All these things sit on a wired network through a network switch, and then your wireless is left to handle all the portable devices: tablets, smartphones, some printers, some security devices, but not all of them. And when you have that balance, the load is just spread out much more evenly. And if you can get some of the products in your home network hardwired, specifically the heavy demand items, like today, one of our guys was out there hardwiring the Xbox, hardwiring the smart TV, hardwiring an access point that was previously wirelessly linking into system. We got a cable to it now, and it's hardwired. And feedback within a few hours was just a much happier evening when all the gaming wasn't competing with everyone else on the Wi-Fi. It had its own wired connection.
Right, and particularly in gaming, you want to hardwire those devices just so that you have the most efficient speeds available to you. You definitely don't want to be relying on Wi-Fi to do any type of serious gaming. But taking all those devices that you can hardwire off of that network reduces that strain on the network, so that your other devices can operate at more efficient speeds. Like you were saying, your laptops and your phones and your tablets and thermostats and things of that nature that only utilize Wi-Fi. Now, whenever you're laying out networks, there's a couple of different networks to lay out, and a lot of our homes, Gamble, that we're in are pretty standard homes. I mean, we don't go more than, I guess, 5 mesh points are probably a maximum size of mesh points that we're putting in a home, and that's probably a 8,000 square foot house, on the large size. There are services that are free and available, and if you need it for your home, and if you like it for your home, please don't hesitate to drop the Digital Ramble Show at gmail.com note. And if you have a home that maybe you'd like to get a heat map done or something like that, there are free services out there. I'd be more than happy to send your blueprints out to them and see what they might map up for getting a network mapped out for your home. But there are services that if you have a really sophisticated home that has some challenges, or you want to make absolutely confident that you have a reliable network, there are services out there that you can get services provided for a light overview of what can be provided for your home for free. And if you want to take a deeper dive, a deeper understanding, then you can also compensate for that as well. But if not, Gamble, whenever you get, we're always talking about these wires that are run through the house, or running wires through the house, like we were just talking about. You can really understand, and home technology pros understand how to place these devices in portions of your home that can expand the reliability of the network from what your service provider is providing. And so whenever I'm talking about 6 mesh points, I'm talking about taking what the service provider has provided you and expanding that wireless signal across the property, across that 8,000, across that, let's say, 2,000 square foot home, or up to 8,000 square foot home is what we're talking about.
Yeah. So, a true home Wi-Fi network should be able to be intelligent enough to know when your product is on the move. So if your iPhone is moving from the basement up to the second floor of the house, or from the front living room all the way through to the dining area off of the kitchen, with a good Wi-Fi system, your phone will probably be handed over between 1, 2, or even 3 mesh points or wireless access points. In a lot of cases where we've seen badly operated networks is when everything's broadcasting the same Wi-Fi, but there's no controller. There's nothing talking to these access points to say, Chris's iPhone is on the move. I'm going to give it a better signal when it gets to this point or this signal level. I'm going to hand it over to the kitchen access point. I'm going to hand it over to the bedroom access point. When you've just got these devices broadcasting the same network but no controller, you're really in a bit of a lottery, because your phone, and iPhones are notorious for it, or they always used to be, that they would hang on by their fingernails. They wouldn't let go of the signal that they had at the front of the house, even though you could be right next to another access point. And that used to drive my customers crazy, until we turned up and either put in a controller, put in a better router that talks to the brand they'd chosen, or put in a Wi-Fi system where everything is a single brand and a single control system.
Oh man, those are some painful days. Those were days that everybody was learning, Gamble. And the network had the Wi-Fi, you had to, so we were airplaying, and whenever you'd airplay to your Apple device and walk around the house and you were jumping from one access point to another, it had to go to 0, which also meant your AirPlay cut off. Those were painful days.
Yeah.
But now you don't have that issue, particularly with mesh networks. And mesh networks, like you say, they kind of manage where you're at and adjust your device to the appropriate mesh point that provides you with a better signal. And placement for those mesh points is relatively easy, and there's different manufacturers that clients, at least the manufacturers that we use, and you've heard us talk about it. It's actually part of our Keeping It Real's acronym that we're always talking about. It is Eero. And Eero, and that's the thing, Gamble. People go into big box stores and they look around. They go over to the network aisle, and they want better. They're pulling their hair out, and they just don't know where to go, because they go to the network aisle, and they're like, there you go, and you got a selection of 100 different boxes, and you don't know which box to choose. And should I go with this brand or that brand, or is it an access point or a mesh point, or is it 8.211 NG plus X? Jump off a cliff or run in front of choices can be dangerous sometimes and expensive, and knowing which items to choose from can really make expanding a network easy. And there's a lot of details that Campbell and I aren't leaving out intentionally, but also go into setting up a good network. But we use Eero. Eero comes with an app. Whenever you deploy Eero and you place it and hardwire it into place, it'll tell you, or even set it wirelessly up in a place, it'll tell you if that's a good location or not, and if you need to relocate it. And so for a DIY or somebody that wants to try to do it themselves, that's a fantastic solution. I actually like going into a client that's called me in to help them with a problem, and seeing that they are at least on the path of going in the right direction. I love saying, man, you made a good choice. Because homeowners don't always, or haven't always, made the right choice in the back, or in the past. And I hate saying, oh man, sorry.
Well,
That's not
I
the
know
right choice.
it's a difficult conversation sometimes when you have to tell them that you can't use what they've invested in already, because, as a professional, I have to kind of have overall control of the network. So I'm going to only choose one or two products that I'm going to put into your network. Primarily, it's going to perform, and the second reason is because I can support it. So although it sounds like I'm taking away what you've already bought, I'm going to put in something better. I'm going to put in something that I can support you with, and I'm going to put in something that can be expanded and I know is going to be around for the long haul. Because I've seen changes in mesh networks and routers and all these products where they very quickly reach end of life. They very quickly have no support, and in some cases are not lasting very long at all. You want something that's going to stand in good stead, because we think we've got to a position now where we've got 30, 40, 50 devices on a network. It's not going to stop there, folks. It's not. This isn't the end of the home network. We haven't kind of reached capacity. We've still got to enter the era of, I still feel we haven't gone into it enough yet, is the Internet of Things. I still believe we're going to see more kitchen appliances, more security devices, more monitoring of air, energy.
Oh, they're coming, no doubt.
Your vehicles.
Gamble, and I wrote down right here, one thing that we're going to do is how to secure your network. And I have a really good person that we're going to have join us for something like that.
Great.
But yeah, because everything is coming online. There's no stopping it. All devices, your toaster will fix the perfect toast for you. In the future, it will never be burned. That pizza oven you got, Gamble, perfect pizza. I don't know if it can get any more perfecter than the Gambler's pizza already, but it'll be on the network.
Well, things that even outdoor cooking, you're starting to see smart meat thermometers.
Hey, I got one. I love it. Hey, Michael's over there ding, I got one, and it works.
Of course it does.
I love it.
Yeah, but that relies on a good network.
Yeah. Hey,
it also
Gamble.
relies on a good app as well.
Hey, I was getting there. So I glossed over it. With the Eero stuff, they got an app, and there's other manufacturers that have apps as well. And if you choose a manufacturer, stick with that manufacturer. Don't do a goulash of products. It just does not work. I found success in Eero. Gamble, you use Ubiquiti over there on your side of the
Correct.
globe, and you have tremendous amount of success over there with that product. Same thing. You got a good app. You can access it.
We're talking about product placement, and actually, when we're wiring a home, whether it's a new or a house that we've got the opportunity to run wires, I actually install our wireless access points on the ceiling of the property.
Yeah, we try.
So typically in a hallway, utility room, a dressing room. I try to keep them out of sight. I try to keep them quite discreet. If they are on show, I turn any LEDs off, but I mount them on the ceiling, which is the optimum position for the Wi-Fi to broadcast downwards to the area where you need it. And I've seen restrictions, even with good equipment, when you place it behind furniture, when you place it at low level. There's some benefits to that.
Don't ever put it behind a TV.
Yeah, don't put it behind a mirror. wow.
Yeah,
You know, I've seen,
don't put anything metal. That's like a Faraday cage right there. Don't do that.
yeah, TV cabinets
No, don't do that.
within furniture, very difficult to operate. And that's where I think some of these quick setup mesh systems do have limitations, and you find you have to maybe add more mesh points than you thought because they're plugged in at low level.
Yeah.
They're in and around other items in the home furniture, and then in contrast, I see a system with an access point mounted to the ceiling, or if it's outdoor, I see it mounted nice high level with the antenna sticking up, and you've got great Wi-Fi for 100 meters in your backyard.
Hey, and too many could be a problem too. So let's emphasize that. Don't like you put one in and test it. Don't go nuts. Like just do a little bit at a time if you're trying to do this on yourself on your own. And then the other thing that I want to touch on real quick, Gamble, before we run out of the show here, is that a lot of clients don't realize that you could have two networks going on at the same time, two routers at the same time, and you could crash the network if you don't understand what you're getting yourself into. So there's some setup things that if you're not aware of, you can accidentally put yourself on two networks, like two different IP addresses. And that might be where you want to find yourself a home technology professional, as well as you don't want to name your internet service provider's Wi-Fi the same as whatever you name your new Wi-Fi's name. You want two separate names. If you name them the same thing, but you have them set up as two different routers, it's like
Gives me
what's that?
panic attack. That gives me a panic attack.
Does it happen? Does it happen, Gamble?
Oh, it's horrible though.
Right?
It's horrible.
What do you call that? Or you just got a couple of seconds, but I'm trying to think of an analogy of what you call that. It's like you're both on the same freeway. It's like a head-on collision in midnight going 100 miles an hour. I mean, you're just begging for a problem.
That is Halloween. That is a horror show.
Yeah, no doubt. and it happens all the time. And it innocently you put yourself in a difficult situation just because there's some things that you know. I know there's people that I hire to come do, like, I don't want to look under the hood at all of my vehicle. I'd much rather take it to my mechanic. I found a good mechanic. I love my mechanic. I go to my mechanic. I tell everybody about my mechanic because my mechanic knows how to fix a freaking car. So if you know a home tech pro, refer them out. If you don't, find yourself one. Ask around, ask some friends, check online, Google yourself up some home tech pros. Look up some search words, some pain points that you're having with technology, and seek them out. Ask some questions. If you don't know what to ask, take a look at some of our previous episodes that you can find on our website at digitalrambleshow.com. You can hit us up on our Gmail at digitalrambleshow@gmail.com. Where else can they go, Gamble? Where else are we?
I think it's worth sending us a direct message on Instagram.
Ooh.
I think you'll get a quick response from either one of us. You'll get direct access to a pro in the know.
Yeah.
So if you've got a question about Wi-Fi, your home audio, your TV, maybe you're looking to buy some new products, and just run it by us. Think of us as your home tech personal shopper. What do we think? Have we've got a good experience with that product, or could we suggest something else that might work better for you?
That's for sure. All right, friends. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for encouraging us. Gamble, you know what? Real quick, I want to give a shout out to some of our friends out there in the industry that I was hanging out with this past weekend. Our friends Ron Callis over at One Firefly, Amanda Wildman over at True Media. Who else was I hanging out? Our friends over at Screen Innovations, Joshua. And they absolutely love the show. They are encouraging us to keep up the flag, they call it, of information and understanding of home tech pros and the need for home tech pros and the product that we can provide for their problems that they got.
Yeah, and also a shout out to the guys and girls over at Ring.
Right.
Something's brewing between JJ, myself, and Ring. So stay tuned for some news on what we might be sharing with you very soon with them.
All right, friends. Until next time, if you don't know, find yourself a home tech pro.